Hello, or today I should be saying hola, since I'm going to show you how to make carne asada with chimichurri sauce. This is a super delicious Latin American dish of grilled meat paired with a flavorful green herb sauce. If your family or you are steak lovers, this is the recipe for you to make. Okay, to start, let's look at the steak I have here. This is 1.5 pounds of lean flank steak, about 1/2 inch thick, and I've already cut away the visible white fat. For this recipe, you could also use skirt steak or any beef cut with the word loin or round in it, as these cuts tend to be the leaner choices. So I'm going to pat the steak dry with paper towels. And then season it with 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Now, since I've been handling raw meat, I'm going to wash my hands. And from here on, I'll use the tongs to handle the steak. I have a large skillet that I sprayed with cooking spray and heated on medium-high heat. You want your skillet to be very hot before adding the meat. Now, the oil in my skillet are nice and hot, so I'll put in the steak. And I'm going to sear it, which means I'm going to let it sit in the pan for 2 to 3 minutes without touching it so a nice brown crust starts to form. When the meat releases easily from the pan, I'll flip it and sear the other side. So I just flipped my steak with a spatula, and you can see the nice crust that is formed here. So just another 2 minutes on this side and it will be done. I'll use a meat thermometer in the middle of the steak to make sure it reads at least 145 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the proper temperature for medium rare meat. If you prefer medium steaks, cook the meat until it reaches 160 degrees Fahrenheit. My steak is done cooking, and I have it on this plate under a loose tent of foil so it stays warm and it can rest. You never want to cut into meat right after it's done cooking because all the juices will run out and you'll have a dry piece of meat on your hands. Not very appetizing. You want to let the meat sit for at least 5 to 10 minutes to allow for those juices to settle in and get sealed in. So we'll just let that rest and move on to cooking our vegetables. In this saucepan, I added 1/4 cup of water, 1 pound of unpeeled zucchini that I've cut into 1/2 inch rounds, there we go, and 1 pound of green beans with their ends trimmed that I've cut in half. I'm going to cover that up and then turn the heat to high. Once that comes to a boil, I'll turn it down to low heat and steam the veggies for about 8 to 10 minutes. You can tell they're ready when you can pierce them easily with a fork. So while they cook, let's make our chimichurri sauce. As I mentioned before, this is a tangy Latin American sauce that is originally from Argentina. It features flavorful green herbs, vinegar, and other seasonings, and is usually paired with grilled meat, as we're doing today, but it's also fantastic with grilled pork loin or fish. We're going to start with 1.5 cups of flat leaf parsley, also called Italian parsley, that I've already washed, dried, and finely chopped. As long as the stems aren't too tough, they can also be chopped up with the leaves. I'll add that. And next, I have 1/2 cup of fresh cilantro, prepared the same way, washed, dried, and finely chopped. These herbs look similar, but they have very different flavors. Both are pretty easy to find at the supermarket. Store leftovers by placing the stems in a jar with water and putting a plastic bag over the top. Keep them in the refrigerator and they'll stay fresher longer that way. Okay, now for the rest of the ingredients for our chimichurri. 3 minced garlic cloves, 2 tablespoons red wine vinegar, 2 teaspoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of honey or agave syrup, 1 tablespoon of crushed red pepper, 1 tablespoon of water. Now the red pepper flakes will add a lot of spicy heat. You could always use less or even leave it out if you want a milder sauce. Then 1 teaspoon dried oregano, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon black pepper. Now I'm going to just whisk all of that together. Wow, it looks so fresh and so green. I wish you could smell it. Now, I'm going to put it aside and let's go check on the vegetables. We're almost ready to serve. We have our steamed zucchini and green beans over here. And I left a little bit of the steak uncut so I could show you how to slice it. Take your sharpened knife and slice across the grain like so, into thin strips like this. There, I've just finished slicing it. Now, I'll spoon the chimichurri sauce right over the top of our sliced steak like this. You could also serve this meal with warmed whole grain corn tortillas, steamed brown rice, or boiled potatoes for a side. And if you have extra chimichurri sauce, put it in the freezer for a dinner another night. So, there you have it. Carne asada with chimichurri sauce. A lean beef dinner bursting with vegetables and fresh flavors. Enjoy!